Hello, my Juicy co-creators. Lilu here on the Juicy Living Tour in London, in England, because this is a cool place. There is awesome teachers, and I love speaking of lucid dreaming, so I had to come back to meet Charlie. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited to interview you. Oh my goodness. Having conversation about lucid dreaming is probably one of the most exciting conversation to have, knowing that you can transform your life in the dream state. How about that? When did you discover how it works and how it can impact our life? And because I read so many things about you, I know you're a house author, so congratulations for that. And I saw your TEDx online that you can also watch. But Dreams of Awakening is your book. So you're all about the lucid dreaming, but with kind of a different spin, not your regular old lucid dreaming kind of thing. So what is your view on that? And how can it impact our life right now?
Okay, so I think the first question was about how I first got into it.
I get excited and then I have hundreds of questions.
That's great. I get excited too. Lucid dreaming makes me want to kind of run out into the street and grab people and go, like, have you heard the news? This is amazing. So that's great. You're excited. I think the first thing you asked was about when I first got into it. So when I was 12, I first started looking at lucid dreaming, and I wanted this kind of special mask thing that you wore, you put to sleep, and it was supposed to give you lucid dreams and stuff. So that was my first memory of kind of thinking, oh wow, lucid dreaming is really cool, I want to do it. But then when I was 16, I got into lucid dreaming, and I bought some books and taught myself how to do it, and we're just using it for like sex and skateboarding, which were my two main prerogatives at the time. And then a couple of years later, I got into Buddhism, and they had this term, dream yoga. And they said, oh, dream yoga is a collection of practices which have lucid dream training at their core. So I said, well, I do lucid dreaming. And, he asked me what I did it for, and I'm too embarrassed to say just sex and skateboarding and stuff. So he told me it was used as a spiritual practice. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. So I can be using it for spiritual practice. So that's when I started kind of taking lucid dreaming more seriously and seeing it as a potential training ground for psychological integration and spiritual growth.
Yeah, further than that, because you actually in for Buddhist people, this is actually a real training for death. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so one of the primary aims of lucid dream and dream yoga training within Tibetan Buddhism is as a preparation for the death and dying state. So every time you train for a lucid dream, you're actually training for that death and dying moment. The theory behind this is based on the after-death bardo state. So bardo is a Sanskrit word that means place in between. And it's seen that you don't just kind of die and then you're reborn. You die and then you enter a bardo state, which is this kind of transitional state, dreamlike, hallucinatory experience.
Kind of a more muddy state, as Ibn Alexander talks about in his near-death experience, like kind of a weird place, or not?
Yeah, I think it's probably very weird. Your mind stream is separated from the gross corporeal form, and the mind is turned inwards, experiencing the nature of your own karma. So yes, pretty crazy place. And most of us pass through the bardo completely unconscious, as we pass through our dreams completely unconscious.
As we pass through life completely.
Pass through life completely unconscious, yeah. So apparently if we can train in lucid dreaming, then we open up the possibility to become lucid within the bardo state. So just as in a lucid dream we say, aha, I'm dreaming, if we train for this, then we can say, aha, I'm dead. Now, once you have that realization of, oh, okay, I'm lucid within the after-death bardo state, apparently this opens up the potential of full spiritual awakening at the point of death. So it's kind of it's viewed as far more of a esteemed practice in Tibetan Buddhism than it is in the West. You talk to people in the West about lucid dreaming, and it's tied up with kind of new agey, flaky, unscientific stuff. It's on the bookshelf next to like alien abduction and stuff like that. Whereas it should be on the bookshelf next to transpersonal psychology and spiritual practice, because those are exactly the kind of methods that we can use to engage within the lucid dream.
Yeah, that's what I like about you. You're very grounded, very present and fun, and this to me are good signs of a great teacher. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you and talk of the shadow, because as we, I guess, deal with our shadow, and you talk about in the book and in your seminars and retreats about the dealing with this shadow. So are we then more able to die more in peace, or what is the view also related to Buddhism and your own perception on as if we deal with our shadow, not only our life is better, but also this transition in this other world would be?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the preparation for death and dying, people often ask me, well, how will I know? I'm like, well, I don't know. If it works, I'll come back as a little kid and say, hey, guys, it worked. I made it through the bardo lucidly. I don't know. But I can tell you this, it takes away the fear of death. Yeah. For me now, coming up to 14 years of lucid dream training, I am much less scared of death than I ever was. In fact, now there's even part of me that would greet an aspect of the death experience with a sense of adventure, because there's something proactive you can do to train for that moment. You're not kind of just blown by the winds of your karma. You have at least something you can do to train for that moment. So death becomes less a moment of absolute fear and lack of mindfulness, and more something we can enter into, perhaps with a little bit more mindfulness and a little bit less fear. And if that's all the training does, it's worth it. Let alone the fact that it gives you the potential to become fully lucid in the after-death bardo state, and then at least guide yourself to a favorable rebirth, if not experience the kind of pure realms of existence which can be accessed from the bardo state.
And how does that influence your reality here? Since we're here, we know at least that one. We can immediately see the result.
Well, the kind of training for the death state wakes you up to this. The great paradox is that being more aware of our mortality wakes us up to life. It's not even, oh my God, we're going to die, lucid dreams about training for death. Oh, it's all so morbid. The opposite. Every night when you train for lucid dreaming, you get that reminder. This is linked to death and dying. You're reminded tomorrow could be my last day, so let's make some use of it. Let's spend this day helping people. Let's spend this day reaching our full potential. Let's spend this day being everything we could be, because we have no idea when the moment of death will come. And a lot of young people, especially around my age, have this kind of arrogance that they're going to live so long. And hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll all live long and vibrant lives. But, who knows when we could die? So if this is a practice that can prepare ourselves for that moment, then not only do we enter into that state with a sense of empowerment, but we also feel a joy for every day that we spend in this dream. Because we see that so too, as we can become lucid in the dream, we can become lucid in this state and move beyond a sense of self and other, and see that you're an aspect of my dream and I an aspect of yours. And because of that, we can be kind to each other and not kind of set up this fear of the other, this sense of isolation, this sense of egoic entitlement that sets us above others and other living beings, and see that we're part of the same.
Our view then softens. It's not one and two, it's just one.
Yeah, it definitely softens. I spoke to my teacher, Lama Yeshe Rinpoche, about this, and he said, lucid dreaming gives you sense of humor. And I said, sense of humor? And he goes, you see, very flexible. Once you see the dreamlike qualities of this state, you have this sense of humor, because you see that it's not so black and white, it's not so solid. There is a flexibility to our experience of life. And we can choose, although we can't choose to avoid pain, we can choose to avoid suffering, which is often our aversion to pain. So when the pain of life comes, we can see the pain and feel the pain and engage the real passion of pain. And yet we don't have that sense of suffering of, I wish it would go away. We experience life as it is, in good and bad.
Because life is like a dream. Can we say that?
Yeah, we can say life is like a dream, or life is dreamlike. I don't think it's as simple as this is just some sort of cosmic dream dreamt by some creator.
Some kind of illusion, maybe?
Yeah, it definitely seems to be
hologram, some people
illusory, yeah. And it seems that in the same way as in the lucid dream state, we know that we're projecting our reality. In this state, so too are we projecting an aspect of our reality. Maybe not all of it, maybe there is a canvas onto which we project. But once we're aware that our projections create our reality, we can start to rewind and look at our projections and see, okay, so I can start to manifest this life. And one of the most important aspects of manifestation, which of course a lot of the New Age scene forgets, is compassion. Is that it's not just, I really want a yacht, I really want a boob job, So we draw on our vision boards, I want £10,000 raise, I want a boob job, I want a yacht. There's no compassionate motivation there. Yeah. But if we visualize and try and manifest that we can be kinder, that we can be more considerate, that we can be more compassionate beings, then that is something we can manifest, and something that will help others too.
How do you see co-creation? Because I hear you use the word co-creation, and this is something, at the beginning of the interviews, I believe we're co-creators. So I'm wondering, what is your aspect related to lucid dreaming? Yeah,
lucid dreaming is a direct training in co-creation. In a lucid dream, you are literally co-creating. You are both the dreamer and the dreamt, both the projector and the projected. You're creating the dream and experiencing the dream simultaneously. So if you want the most direct experience of manifestation, how the mind creates, have a lucid dream. You know, if you're in the lucid dream state and you think, oh God, I'm pretty sure something really bad's going to happen, easiest way for some nightmare figure to appear. You think, oh God, I really feel like I'm about to meet Lilu in my lucid dream. Bam! 9 times out of 10, a projection of Lilu will arrive. So you see how this mind is creating manifestation. Now, in this waking...
That can be freaky, because then you can have people, or some people say, oh, I visited you in your dream, or you visited me. And is that, I mean, you have to both be on the same, right? You have to both set the same intent for this to happen. Huh?
Yeah, it's definitely, it seems to, it seems to be possible. You know, if I have a dream about you, you have a dream about me tonight, and we say we had a shared dream. Well, maybe not. Maybe we just both dreamt of each other. You know, if we spent the day at a zoo and we both dreamed of a tiger that night, doesn't mean it's a shared dream. It means we're both dreaming of what we did in the day. However, we can set up experiments to check where if I become lucid and you become lucid, we could then one person could enter the other's lucid dream state and offer a password, which could then be corroborated in the waking state. And that's something I've been working on in the last couple of years with my fiance. I can't say we've had a direct hit yet, but we've had a couple where she tried to send a woolly mammoth into my dream, and I was having a lucid dream, and at the same time, so that the time match, an elephant walks into my dream, and it was like an urban environment. I was like, what the hell is an elephant doing in my lucid dream? And it walks up to me and like nods its head, like asking me to ride it. So I'm riding this elephant thinking, what the hell? And then I woke up, I wrote it down. My fiance wrote down her dream that she was lucid and tried to send this elephant-like being into my dream. So we got a close hit with that. But we can't say that's direct. You know, I think we do need to be quite skeptical in our view of shared dreaming, not because it doesn't exist, but because it does. And because it does exist, we owe it a disciplined approach. We owe it a kind of scientific inquiry approach to prove where it definitely lies and how we can do it.
So having done that, what is for you, the time and space does really exist, or is it all collapse? In the
lucid dream. Yeah. The lucid dream, time is relative to this. Okay. So if it feels like you've had like a 5-minute lucid dream, then it probably has been about 5 minutes. So they've done tests on this with brain scans and stuff. Your sense of time is the same as this. So when people start having lucid dreams, they often complain, oh, but it only lasted like 30 seconds or something. And I think, you know, I've jumped out of an airplane before. You have like 30 seconds of free fall. It's 30 seconds, but time is pretty relative when you're jumping out of a plane, and so too in the lucid dream. Although, yes, it may have only been 30 seconds or a minute or two, think of what you could do with 2 minutes inside your own psyche, walking around a projection of your own psychology. Think of the healing that you can engage in that state.
So you call it, once you're in it, how do you wake up? I mean, how do you lucid dream? So you're there, and all of a sudden you decide to shift perception, to bring something else, to manifest something, to...
So once you're in the lucid dream state, your mind is creating it. So let's say I want to use the lucid dream state to work with my fear of spiders. And there's a lot of proof you can do this. You can work with phobias. So I'm in the lucid dream. Oh, right, I'm lucid. I'm in my own head. Okay, this is cool. I'm asleep in bed, but I know I'm in my own mind. What did I want to do? Oh, I wanted to work with my fear of spiders. Then I could... visualize, I set the intent, okay, behind that book there will be a spider, and I could walk to it, and with that intent there probably will be a spider there. I could let the spider crawl up my arm. Now you'll still feel fright because you're like, oh God, you know, you bring your baggage into the lucid dream, which is I'm scared of spiders. But in the lucid dream I know that my arm doesn't exist, the spider doesn't exist, it's all illusion. However, the brain doesn't know that. The brain thinks it's real. The lucid dream state is so realistic that the brain thinks it's actually a experience of waking reality. So crucially, it creates neural pathways based on your experience. So the brain is saying, oh, are we cool with spiders now? Because you're letting a spider crawl up your arm. So it creates a new neural pathway saying, I'm okay with spiders, which will then be reactivated in the waking state. And this is how you can directly work with trauma and phobia through the lucid dream state as a way to affect your waking state.
It seems difficult when there's something like nightmares, huh? So we can work with those nightmares, those recurring nightmares, and like those big monsters, and basically hug them, as you say.
Yeah, so nightmares is one of the aspects of lucid dream training. It has the most kind of science around it. In fact, in 2009 at Milan University, it was posited that there could be a time that we prescribe lucid dream training in favor of the often addictive tranquilizer that we now give chronic nightmare sufferers. Now, nothing came of that. I wonder why. Who knows? Conspiracy theories aside. But it seems like a very direct psychological intervention that we gain through lucid dreaming. Because in the lucid dream state, you can become lucid in the nightmare. And your first option is to wake up if you're not ready to face it. And that's okay. But far better is to stay in the lucid dream and to face the nightmare, to do what we've never done, which is stay in the nightmare. Don't try and wake up. Because every moment you spend in the nightmare with an awareness that it's a projection of your mind is a moment that you spend bearing witness to the trauma. And the nightmare will recur until you bear witness to it. That's all it wants. It doesn't want to be interpreted. It doesn't want to be poked or prodded or interrogated as we wouldn't. You know, the dream is like us, but it wants to be seen. And it will keep on recurring until you say, yes, I see you. I see this trauma as part of me, and now I can move through it. And they've shown that just one lucid dream, if you can become lucid in a nightmare, you can stop your nightmares overnight. You know, it's not cumulative. It just takes one nightmare. One experience of lucidity in the nightmare for you to stop those dreams.
How do you know you're in a dream? Because I guess at some point, like maybe now do you think you're in a lucid dream?
No, I definitely think I'm in reality. You know, this is one of the things about lucid dreamers is every time you have a lucid dream, you're training yourself to know the difference. So people often think, oh, as a lucid dreamer, you're going to be really like hippy dippy. Oh God, where's reality? Oh, you know, am I awake? Am I asleep? The opposite. You know, lucid dreamers train themselves to tell the difference. Yeah. So often lucid dreamers are actually very grounded in awareness of the difference between the illusion of the dream and the illusion of this shared waking reality. So no, I'm almost certain that I'm awake right now, but I shall check. Yeah. So there are certain reality checks that we can do in the waking state to tell whether we're dreaming or not. Now, what I just did then, a strange look at my hand, a pull of my finger, if I was dreaming, then my finger would have extended and my hand would have changed, because I was doing that with the expectation that if I was dreaming, the finger would change. So this is a bit like in Inception, that movie where he has the spinning top and he spins it and that tells him if he's dreaming or not. Of course, the spinning top isn't actually his totem, but that's a whole other talk. Spoiler alert.
What do you mean? I thought that was the...
Yeah, so it looks like that's his totem, right, the spinning top, but it's not. So watch Inception again in the knowledge that the spinning top is not his totem.
And we'll see it.
Yeah.
Is it an object?
Yes. You just need to look closely.
Okay.
At what he's doing. I don't want to get...
We'll watch it again.
Yeah, watch it again, knowing that's not his thing. We have certain things in the waking state, like totems, that you do to keep you grounded, so you definitely know when you're not, when you're awake and when you're dreaming. But when I first taught myself, 16, 17, I didn't have any teacher, I didn't have any kind of people who were doing it, and I definitely didn't have any totems. So yeah, when I first taught myself, I was getting to a point where I was having so many lucid dreams, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, God, how can I tell if I'm awake or not? And it became very sketchy. So when I started teaching, I swore that every time I teach, I'd always push the reality check, because I wasn't going to have anyone freaking out on my watch. I want to teach this in the safest possible way. If you're learning through me, there's a stability here. Yeah. Not only hopefully through me offering it to you as a teacher, but also through the lineage that I'm connected to. I don't really look it, but I am authorized to teach within this lineage of Tibetan Buddhism.
And you're a Lama?
Am I what?
A Lama?
God, no, definitely not. No, not a Lama, not a monk, not even a very good spiritual practitioner. But I've been authorized to teach by a Lama. And that authorization gives a link to the lineage. So I always say to people, you don't have to trust me, but you can trust the teachers and you can trust the lineage. And learning these practices hold the support of that lineage. Yeah. And also the inspiration of it is that hopefully when I offer people these tools to lucid dream, they won't just waste it on sex and skateboarding as I did, but see that it can be used for your spiritual practice, to integrate fear and phobia, to work with nightmares, to create interventions in your own psychology, and to prepare for the death and dying process. To such an extent where the thought of wasting your lucid dreams on having sex with movie stars will just seem like kind of child's play, I hope. But if you want to have sex with movie stars, go for it.
Thank you so much, Charlie. I guess this is an unlimited conversation, and there's so much to do with this, and I'm really excited to have this conversation and kind of plant this seed in your mind and in my mind, so that we start to explore beyond this reality, but also, as you said somewhere, it's actually 30 years of our life that we spend sleeping. Huh?
Yeah, 30 years of sleep. So let's do something with that, right?
Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you.
Big kisses to all Juicy co-creators. If you want to read more, there is this book, Dream of Awakening, and your website, and all the A House conference, and all the things you're involved with. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much love. Thank you for sharing this video. Bye-bye.
Main prerogatives at the time. And then a couple of years later, I got into Buddhism, and they had this term dream yoga. And they said, oh, dream yoga is a collection of practices which have lucid dream training at their core. So I said, well, I do lucid dreaming. And, he asked me what I did it for, and I'm too embarrassed to say just sex and skateboarding and stuff. So he told me it was used as a spiritual practice. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. So I can be using it for spiritual practice. So that's when I started kind of taking lucid dreaming more seriously and seeing it as a potential training ground for psychological integration and spiritual growth.
Yeah, further than that, because you actually in for Buddhist people, this is actually a real training for death. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so one of the primary aims of lucid dream and dream yoga training within Tibetan Buddhism is as a preparation for the death and dying state. So every time you train for a lucid dream, you're training for that death and dying moment. The theory behind this is based on the after-death bardo state. So bardo is a Sanskrit word that means place in between. And it's seen that you don't just kind of die and then you're reborn. You die and then you enter a bardo state, which is this kind of transitional state, dreamlike, hallucinatory experience.
Kind of a more muddy state, as Eben Alexander talks about in his near-death experience, like kind of a weird place, or not?
Yeah, I think it's probably very weird. Your mind stream is separated from the
Hello, my Juicy co-creators. Lilu here on the Juicy Living Tour in London, in England, because this is a cool place. There is awesome teachers, and I love speaking of lucid dreaming, so I had to come back to me. Charlie, hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited to interview you. Oh my goodness, having conversations.
First question was about how I first got into it.
I get excited and then I have hundreds of questions.
That's great. I get excited too. Lucid dreaming makes me want to kind of run out into the street and grab people and go like, have you heard the news? This is amazing. So that's great. You're excited. I think the first thing you asked was about when I first got into it. So when I was 12, I first started looking at lucid dreaming, and I wanted this kind of special mask thing that you wore, you put to sleep, and it was supposed to give you lucid dreams and stuff. So that was my first memory of kind of thinking, oh wow, lucid dreaming is really cool, I want to do it. But then when I was 16, I got into lucid dreaming, and I bought some books and taught myself how to do it, and we're just using it for like sex and skateboarding, which are my two.
About lucid dreaming is probably one of the most exciting conversations to have, knowing that you can transform your life in the dream state. How about that? When did you discover how it works and how it can impact our life? And because I read so many things about you, I know you're a house author, so congratulations for that. And I saw your TEDx online that you can also watch. But Dreams of Awakening is your book, so you're all about the lucid dreaming, but with kind of a different spin, not your regular old lucid dreaming kind of thing. So what is your view on that, and how can it impact our life right now?
Okay, so I think the first